Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode whatever of Write Your Novel from Start to Finish. I've got Pork Chop. I've got Sassy Frass. We've got a lot of cats here. Incredibly low budget video focused entirely on self-publishing. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna assume you have a book that you're so proud of that you want to get it published. You're at that point. You've done everything else you need to do, and so this is going to be kind of a long video because there's so many pitfalls when it comes to self-publishing. It's ridiculous. And there's also a lot of things you can do to make yourself more successful that a lot of people aren't aware of, okay? So let's start with the basics. Well, how do you get your book so that it's actually published? There's a lot of ways to do it, and there are a lot of scam artists and self-publishers who want to take advantage of you. What I would recommend starting with is the understanding that in the age of Amazon, there is no reason whatsoever you should be paying a company to publish your book, okay? You should not be paying a company money up front. You should not be paying them for formatting. You should not be paying them for any sort of printing costs. And the reason is simple. You don't have to, okay? If you go to Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, they will help you print create a print edition of your book, and they'll do it you basically pay per book. They take a certain, I'm sure they have like a margin, when it comes to like the printing costs or whatever, but they'll basically give you a specific price for your book after you upload a Word document or some sort of document, which is then formatted kind of automatically. And then once they have a page count, you get basically a per book cost. And so when you publish it on Amazon.com, for example, you can set whatever price you want. And as long as it's higher than whatever the cost of printing a copy is, you get the money, you get whatever is left over. So if it costs $4 or $5 to print the book and you charge $7, you make a $3 profit. Something like that, okay? But my first big warning to you is you should not be paying someone to publish your book, okay? Don't do it. All the promises in the world of getting your book into bookstores and all this other stuff, they're almost 100% they're scams. And what they do is they tell you they'll get your books into bookstores, and what they really mean is they mean that they will make sure that your book is available through basically on systems that bookstores use to order books, which isn't that hard to do independently anyway. And it doesn't guarantee that a bookstore is going to buy your book, okay? There's something like 200,000 books published every single year. The idea that a bookstore is going to just randomly find your book and decide to sell your book next to Stephen King and and everybody else in their bookstore, it's not going to happen, okay? So don't do that. Don't pay someone for that process, okay? What you should potentially pay for to get your book to publication is you should probably pay someone to go through and line edit it, to get as many grammatical and spelling and mechanical errors fixed as possible. Because you do, if you're going to self-publish, you do want the book to look as professional as possible, okay? I self-published a series called The Grimm Chronicles on Amazon. And when I self-published this series, I had 3 writer friends helping me with line editing specifically. They were each time I published an episode, I had 3 different pairs of eyes looking at it. And then about a year after I started doing that, another person who was a fan of the series noticed some other grammatical and mechanical errors that we had missed, and basically just offered to go through and help. And he went through and he found a few more errors in each of the books And what I did was I basically just republished them. I fixed those errors and I republished the books, in sort of like an updated format, to ensure that I was putting the best quality forward that I could. Okay, so that is one thing you might want to pay for. You could probably get a decent line editor, a cheap line editor, by going to like Upwork, or you could go to Fiverr.com to find someone. You'll just want to make sure you're kind of careful about who you pick. Okay, so that's the first step. The other thing you might have to pay for, unless you're really talented, is probably a book cover. Okay, you want a cover to look really professional, because most people do judge books by their covers. It has to look good. It can't look like you just designed it on Microsoft Paint or something like that. I would caution against using AI in this case, because some people have a problem with AI, sort of being used in the arts sphere. Set aside whatever your personal philosophy is, and maybe consider the possibility that animus toward AI might hurt your book sales. So what you probably would want to do is you'd probably want to hire someone to design a book cover for you. Or if you want a more low-cost option, look for people who put together pre-made book covers, and find one that kind of fits with the story you're telling, and just buy the pre-made book cover. Usually when you buy a pre-made book cover, what'll happen is you'll pay for it, and then the person who designed it will put on your title, they'll put on the author page, they'll create a nice wraparound for you in case you want to do a print version of your book. So pre-made book covers are a good thing to know how to find. And what I'll do is, for all of this stuff, I'll put some links in the comments so that you have kind of like a starting point. Okay. Okay. So how do you publish your book? Like, you've got a book cover, you've got it ready to go. There's a couple ways to do it. There's places like Smashwords. There's places like Barnes & Noble's got the Nook, right? By and large, nearly all of your sales are going to come from ebooks. They're not going to come from print books for the most part, unless you're like very dedicated. You're a very dedicated attendee of like conferences, of like writing conferences and, book fests and stuff like that. If you're not going to do that, most of your money is going to come from ebooks. And most of that ebook money, most of the royalties you get from that, are going to happen on Amazon. Okay. And the reason for that is because the Kindle is so much more popular than any other book reader format. It just dominates the market. And that's just the cruel reality of that, of that process. I don't know what to tell. Like, if you really don't want to use Amazon, that's fine. But like, I'm going to walk you through how to use Amazon, because that is how you get people to read your book. Okay. You're not going to get a lot of reads through Nook unless you are doing a lot of self-promotion, which I'll talk about later. And you're not going to get a lot of reads from Smashwords either. It's mostly going to come from Kindle. And so what I would recommend doing is, going to opening up an Amazon Kindle account. Okay. You go to kdp.amazon.com. It's a free account. And what Kindle does is Kindle walks you through step by step how to publish a Kindle book. It asks you to upload your document, your Word document, or you can do a PDF, and it'll convert everything into the Kindle format. It will let you pick keywords so that people can find your book. It will let you pick categories so that when people are searching for a new book in the mystery and suspense genre, your book will appear in those categories. And it's a very simple, intuitive process. It's not something that's going to get you, it's not something that's going to trip you up. Even if you're sort of a neophyte and you don't know a lot about this kind of stuff, you're going to feel pretty comfortable doing it from start to finish, okay? So that's one advantage of the Kindle. There's another advantage, and this is part of the reason why Kindle is so much more popular than any of the other e-reader formats. So if you enroll your Kindle in their Select program, what you get to do then is you get to offer your book at a discount 5 times every 3 months. And the discount can be 100%. So you can actually offer your book for free 5 times a month. And what this does is it gets people downloading your book who are interested in reading your book. And every time someone downloads your book, like your book shows up on other Amazon pages, right? Like when you look at a book and you're not quite sold on the book and you scroll a little bit farther down on an Amazon page, you'll notice that there'll be like a line across the page that says customers also bought this. Customers who bought this also bought this, right? And that's where your book will show up. So offering your book for free and getting downloads is a very easy way to gain some exposure on Amazon's website. Okay, so that's a huge advantage over any of the other websites and e-reader formats that don't really offer that kind of thing, and certainly not as well. Okay, so that's another tremendous advantage. If you enroll your book in Kindle Select, there's 2 ways you're going to make money. You're going to make money from downloads. That's one way. So when someone downloads your book, if you sell it for $2.99, your royalty is 70%. So that's one thing. But if your reader is part of the Kindle Unlimited program, I think that's what it's called, they can actually download your book for free and read it for free. However, what Amazon does then is Amazon pays you a certain amount of money for every page they read. That number fluctuates a lot. It's not a ton, but it sort of comes out about the same. So if someone reads one of my self-published books in the Grimm Chronicles, for example, it comes out, if they get to the end, the royalties come out about the same. So it's another way to like get people interested in your book. It's an easy thing to promote to people. If you find any web pages or Facebook groups for people who have this program, this Amazon program, you can be like, hey, look, my book is free. Here's what it's about, right? So that's another advantage. And these are the reasons why Amazon's Kindle just crushed the competition to the point that it's almost pointless. It's almost pointless to offer your book anywhere else. Okay. So how can you take advantage of the free offering, the discounted offerings that Amazon lets you do? And what I would recommend doing is thinking about your book as a series and continuing to write in a series. So when I did the Grimm Chronicles, for example, I had 12 episodes in the series. Every single episode or novella was about 100 pages total. And what I do every 3 months is I make one of those books free at a time. And what this does is it generates interest in the other books and keeps people interested in the other books. So for example, if someone maybe I'll make my second book free for a week, right? And so anyone who downloads my second book for free realizes, well, okay, I should probably download the first episode too. So I get a little bit of a royalty from that, right? And if they like the story, they're going to download the rest in the series, right? So what you want to constantly think about if you're really interested in writing is think about how you can develop a series so that you can continue to build on your readership by offering these discounts on a regular basis, right? And so another thing you could do, if this makes sense to you, if you wrote your book and you see that your book, if you followed the traditional 3-act structure, for example, and you feel like your book could be divided into 3 smaller episodes, consider doing that. You can always bundle all of your episodes or all of your series books into one big collection, and you can offer a collection too. I do that as well. I offer the entire Grimm Chronicles series as one download available to readers. And so if someone downloads the first episode of my series and then they want to read the whole thing, 9 times out of 10 they'll just go buy the complete series. And again, I get royalties and I also get page views, or get paid per page view as well, depending on what program people are in. So that's another thing. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what you do after your book is published. Okay, so you've got the book published, it's on Amazon, it's live, it doesn't have any sales rank yet because nobody's downloaded it. You've waited a couple of days, nothing has really happened. What do you do next, right? And this is another place where you can get scammed and scammed and scammed, because there are a lot of companies that you can pay to promote your book. And what these companies do is they'll tell you they'll have a mailing list, or they'll have this massive Facebook follower count, or they have 100,000 Twitter followers on their account, and all you've got to do is make your book free for a day, and they'll promote it for you. And you'll get thousands of downloads, and your book will be the next day when your book isn't free anymore, it'll be all over Amazon's web pages, and you'll start to get downloads and you'll make money. And the truth of the matter is, most of those programs, most of those companies are a complete waste of money. Okay, most of them are not worth the price they charge, and you've got to be really, really careful with this. And I'm not speaking from a place of ignorance here. I'm speaking from a place of very deep, intimate knowledge, because not a month goes by when I'm not trying one of these new ones to see if they work. Okay, so I have constantly, over the past 5 years, I have constantly worked on trying to find the best places to promote my series. I have constantly failed. I have had some success, and I want to share with you right now where you will find the most success as well. Okay, so I think the cheapest option for you, if you want to offer your book for free and you want to get hundreds of downloads, the cheapest option for you is a site called KINDLEnationdaily.com. And they're pretty darn good. They offer a free book highlighter service where you basically pick a date when your book is going to be free. You pay them like $30. I think it's like $30 still. And they send it out to, however many thousands of people. And you will, by and large, when you do this, you will get hundreds of downloads every time. Okay. They have a very good mailing list. Okay. Another site that I think is almost always worth it is the Fussy Librarian. And I'll put the link in the comments as well. The Fussy Librarian has a very active client base, and it has a very active mailing list. They do a pretty darn good job of making sure that the people they're sending their daily mailing out to are active readers and are active downloaders. And so again, if it's a little bit more expensive than Kindle Nation Daily, but you will get hundreds of downloads. I use it every month. I use the Fussy Librarian once a month, and I'm never unhappy with the results I get. Those two are like the mainstays, okay? Once you start branching out away from those, you're gonna see very mixed results. I just did a promo with Written Word Media, and they have a site called Free Booksy, and they have gotten prohibitively expensive, and it's really not worth it. I think I spent something like $160 doing a promo, and I've been looking at my royalties for the month based on what I promoted, the book I promoted. I'm barely breaking even, so it's really not worth it. I don't think you're going to see much from that. There's a couple other ones. There's one called Booksends, and then there's like a new one that pops up every week and promises you all sorts of incredible downloads. By and large, none of them are worth the money. There's one cash king, and it's called Bookbub.com. Okay, Bookbub.com has been around for a long time. I don't know how they got their mailing lists. I don't know how they got so many people subscribing. I don't know why it works so well, but Bookbub is the king, okay? If you can get a promo on Bookbub, if you go to bookbub.com and you fill out you're like, you tell them I'm gonna have a free book at this date. Here's what the book is. Here's where you can find it. And they accept your book. They pick your book for a promo. You could be looking at thousands of dollars in royalties over the course of a month, and it's just the power of how many people actively read their newsletter every day, and it's partly just the demographics they select. It's partly just they just do a really fantastic job. There's two downsides to Bookbub though. One is it's so difficult at this point to get them to pick your book. And begging doesn't work. I've tried begging. It just doesn't work. So it's super difficult to get them to pick your book, which makes it, really hard and depressing because they constantly are sending you rejections. The other thing that you have to keep in mind is that it's expensive. Okay. You might do if I were doing a free promo for my young adult series, The Grimm Chronicles, if they selected one of my books, I'd probably be looking at somewhere around $700 to promote it. Now, keep in mind that $700 is very easy to recoup because so many people will download the book. So many people will download the other books in the series. We're talking thousands and thousands of downloads, okay? So if you do get picked for Bookbub, it's pretty much a guarantee that you're going to make your money back, even though it's really expensive, okay? Other than that, I would say avoid most of the free promo websites. Most of them beyond that are a waste of money. And it's sad because there's a ton, but it's just the nature of the beast. It's really hard to keep a mailing list full of people who are going to open it every day, right? They're going to open up the newsletter every day, and then they're going to click on books that are free and they're going to download them and actually read them, right? So if you come across another one and you think it's really good, put it in the comments. Otherwise, I would strongly recommend sticking with a very clear plan when it comes to self-publishing. Use Amazon's Kindle because that's where most of the readers are, okay? Make sure you're not getting scammed by, self-publishing companies who are offering you all sorts of things that they can't deliver, okay? Make sure that you are promoting your book with these paid promotions. And then finally, one of the last things I want to talk about is if you don't have any money, if you're at a point where you need to build a following, you need to build some word of mouth the old-fashioned way. What you want to do is you want to get in the habit of contacting book bloggers who are interested in reading your kind of stuff and literally emailing them and asking them if they'd like a free review copy, okay? You can find some websites that'll help you locate these book bloggers. I'll put a couple of them in the comments section, in the comments. But there's a couple things you need to know about contacting book bloggers. First and foremost, it can be very, very beneficial to you. When someone writes up a review of your book, it stays on their blog forever, right? And so, it's basically another web page that will take people to your book potentially. Book bloggers are voracious readers. They are on a different level. They will read 2 or 3 books a week if they're interested in that kind of genre. And so they become very useful to authors. Now let's talk about how you do this, because I think we need to talk a little bit about what it means to be polite and what it means to, actually respect book bloggers, because not a lot of authors do. There are a lot of authors who treat book bloggers like crap. There are a lot of authors who think that book bloggers owe them something. There are a lot of authors who get really nasty. And so I'm gonna lay out some just basic rules for you to follow when it comes to contacting book bloggers, okay? First and foremost, if they accept your book and they request a copy and they tell you they're interested and you never hear from them again, let it go, okay? It means either they started reading it and they didn't like it, or they just didn't have enough time. Don't pester them, okay? Second, they might write a bad review, okay? And you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to accept that not everybody is going to give you a good review. And that's the book blogger's prerogative, okay? What you don't want to do is you don't want to harass the book blogger or the book reviewer just because you didn't like what they said. You have to let it go. You know, them's the ropes. That's part of the publishing process. Is you're going to have to get in the habit of recognizing that, you know, they don't owe you anything. Okay. Another thing you want to keep in mind that is really, really important is, like, they're not under any obligation to help you in any way, shape, or form. Okay. They're doing what they're doing. Book bloggers do what they do because they love reading. And if you're going to be one of those, you know, one of those assholes who just goes out and confronts them, you know, or sends them a nasty email, or, you know, harasses them for the content of their review, word of mouth is going to spread. Okay. Book bloggers, book reviewers, they are part of a lot of tight-knit networks, and the authors who treat them like crap, they get noticed. Okay. So you have to be respectful. You have to be a decent human being. And you have to understand, most importantly, some people are going to write bad reviews. Some people are not going to like it. Accept it. Learn from those mistakes and write something better in the future, okay? But if you decide to do that, if you decide to go that route, it's going to take time. You're going to have to contact the reviewers one by one. You're going to have to contact the book bloggers one by one, but it will pay off. It is definitely worth it. So my best recommendation to you is, if you want a low cost way to get a lot of promotion, use the website, the links in the comments as a starting point. Make a cup of coffee on a Saturday morning and just spend all day contacting bloggers until your wrist hurts, and then do it again the following Saturday and keep doing it. Don't be pushy, be polite, be respectful, and remember that, you know, these are the lifeblood of independent publishing. Okay, and treat them with proper respect. Okay. Beyond that, I think this is probably all you need when it comes to self-publishing as a starting point. If I come up with any other ideas, or if you have any questions and you put them in the comments, I'll try to make a separate video. But I think we've covered pretty much everything you need to get started and to get on a roll. Okay, so in the next video, I'm going to talk specifically about the more traditional publishing route. For those of you who don't want to self-publish, and if you're looking for a regular publisher, I'm going to help you with that next.